What's going on YouTube? This is Vince with vshred.com, and today I'm going to be taking you guys through a routine that you can do before lifts or just anytime throughout the day to help get rid of your back pain. Alright, so what I'm going to do is take you through a series of different exercises that I personally do before every single one of my lifts, whether it's back day, whether it's leg day, whether it's chest, shoulder, whatever kind of lifting day I'm doing, even if I'm not, if it's a rest day, I'm still doing this routine just because of all the different areas of your body that it really stimulates and it loosens up and it just helps with back pain, because typically back pain, I'd say most commonly, is associated with the main issue of an anterior tilt in your pelvis, and this is something that's really going to help that by, I guess, focusing on all the different areas of your body that are around your pelvic positioning. And so this is going to help a lot with that, and just again stretching out muscles that are probably really tight on your body that are causing that back pain. So the first one that we're going to do is a little exercise for thoracic spine mobility. What you're going to do is lay down on your back, and then first off you want to make sure that your lower back is not off the ground when you're lying flat. This is a big issue with a lot of people, is that whenever they're doing an exercise, their lower back is always, they're always in an anterior tilt, and their lower back is always at an angle, always curved. Your butt looks bigger than it is, and that's an issue because that's not pelvic neutral. You always want to attain pelvic neutral before every single exercise, including stretches. So get into pelvic, lie on your back, get into pelvic neutral, and then you want to lift one leg up. You want to bring that to 90 degrees straight above you, and then you're going to drop that across your body to one side, take it all the way to the floor, get your knee on the floor, hold it there with your outer hand, and then what you're going to do is reach your shoulder, your opposite shoulder, back across your body so that you can get a stretch in your back. And this might even pop your back a little bit. Every single time I do it, I get a little bit of a back crack when I do this. And so you want to stretch your body all the way the other way. This is going to help with, like I said, thoracic spine mobility. And then you want to get it all, you want to stretch as much as you can, and then you're going to switch to the other side. You're going to bring it back, you're going to lift your other leg up to 90 degrees, drop it to the side, put your arm down to hold it down, and then reach your shoulder back across the other way and get the exercise movement to the other side. So you're going to do this both sides. You can do this for multiple sets if you want. And then right after that I go into another quick exercise for, this one's more so for the QL, the quadratus lumborum, which is a muscle running down the inner middle of your back, which is where a lot of people actually feel their back pain. And it's typically not where the back pain is coming from, but it never hurts to just activate that, stretch that muscle out a little bit just to loosen it up before we go into some other exercises that are going to get to the places that are actually probably causing your back pain. So what you're going to do for this one is just bring your knees into your chest, and you're going to squeeze your knees as hard as you can. You're going to take a deep breath inhaled, and then you're going to exhale through your mouth as if you're blowing into a balloon. You're going to really exhale as hard as you can and as much as you can. You want to get every single last breath, even little bit of breath out of your lungs, and get as deep, and you just want to exhale as much as possible, and you want to squeeze your knees into your chest as much as possible and get your lower back to get a little bit of curve, and that's what's going to stretch that QL. So you can do this for 2 or 3 sets if you want. Hold it there for 20-30 seconds, and then we're going to go into a Soaz stretch. Your psoas is a muscle that's basically under your obliques. What you're going to do here is put one leg out in front of you, and you're going to put this leg at a 90-degree angle. So you're going to bend your knee, and then your other leg you're going to put out directly to the side of you, and you're also going to be bending that at a 90-degree angle. Then what you're going to do to get that stretch in your psoas is take your shoulder, let's say your legs are going to the right side, you're going to get your right shoulder and you're going to stretch that as far away from your back knee as possible. Stretch it as far away as you can, so it's going to be forward and to the side, just complete opposite angle of your knee. You're going to stretch it as far as you can, and then you're also going to implement a slight twist in your shoulders to really get as much of a stretch as possible. So you're going to rock in and out of that, and then once you feel comfortable in a deeper stretch in that, you're going to hold it in the deep stretch, and then again you're going to do this both sides. So switch legs, both of your knees at a 90-degree angle, and then your back knee is going to be, you're going to try to get your back knee as far away from that same shoulder. So push your shoulder as far away as possible, get that stretch, and then work your way into a little bit of a shoulder twist to get as deep of a stretch on your psoas as possible. So you can do that for 2, 3, 4 sets. Hold it for 30 seconds each, and that's going to help open up your hips a little bit. And then after that, we're going to be moving on to a little bit of foam roll action. First, we're going to touch our TFL, our tensor fascia lata. This is a muscle of the thigh, and it's about halfway between your glutes and the front of your legs. So if you're having trouble finding it, try to just lay directly on your side, on the side of your hips, not quite on your glute, but not quite on the front. You want to be just to the side. You want to be just outside of that bony ridge of your hips, just outside of that, and then you're going to find a tender spot, and so you're going to roll out a little bit, find it, try to find the tender spots of your TFL. Once you find those tender spots, I want you to sit in it, and I want you to sit in it deep, and I want you to break up that tissue so that you can start loosening that muscle. So you're going to do this on both sides, and then after this, you're going to go to foam rolling the quads. And the reason that you're foam rolling the quads is because, like I said, a lot of times when people have back pain, it's because of the anterior tilt of their pelvis, just because of most people sit at a desk all day and their hip flexors become very tight, or maybe they're trying to hit abs and they're hitting hip flexors and they never really get the loosening that they need of those front muscles in their body, like the quads. The quads are always bent all day. You're always in hip flexion, and so, or you're always in a hip hinge. So when you're always in a hip hinge, your quad muscles are always going to be tight. So loosening up your quad muscle is going to allow the front of your pelvis that is already being pulled down and causing your back muscles to pinch. Rolling those out is going to allow your quad muscles to loosen up, to allow your pelvis to start getting back to pelvic neutral and start leveling back out, so that your back muscles aren't pinching anymore. So, and then when you're foam rolling your quads, you want to make sure that you're hitting all of the muscles. You want to get the outer muscle, the vastus lateralis. You want to get the inner muscle, the vastus medialis. You want to get the ones in the center, the vastus intermedius and the rectus femoris. You want to make sure you're getting all 4 quad muscles and spend a good bit of time on those. Find the tender spots, sit on those tender spots, and just try to foam roll them as well as possible so that you can loosen them up. Now, after the foam rolling, we're going to move on to one of my favorite stretches just because of how well it works, which is just a deep quad and psoas stretch. You're going to put your back knee, so you're going to get something that you can put your foot on behind you, and you can do this at home. You can do this with your foot up on a couch and your knee touching the ground. You can do this like I'm doing it against a wall. What you're going to do is put your foot back behind you, bending your knee, putting your knee on the ground, and trying to get as deep of a stretch on your quad as possible. But then after that, what you're going to do is really focus on standing up straight, getting your shoulders directly above your hips, and then you're going to overemphasize posteriorly tilting your pelvis so that you're not in an anterior tilt. That way you are stretching out your psoas and your quads as much as possible. You're going to find that once you get into a deep stretch, before you roll your hips forward, before you thrust your hips forward, once you get into a deep stretch, it's going to be hurting a little bit. But once you posteriorly tilt your pelvis, it's going to give you an even deeper stretch, and you're going to feel it really well. And then after that, once you take it to the next level, flex your glutes, and this is going to give you the best stretch on your psoas muscle and your quads, and really loosen up the front of your hips so that your pelvis can be positioned correctly. And so you're going to do this both sides. I do this for multiple sets. I usually hold it there for 1 to 2 minutes for 3 to 4 sets. I do this. This is one of the main exercises that I do to help with my back pain, and it's one of the ones that helps the most. So I highly recommend at least implementing this one. And then last, before I get into my workout, I always finish it off with diaphragmatic breathing. And I usually start with, I usually go into child's pose, which is when you are, you're on all fours, and then you drop your butt back, and you really try to get a good stretch on your lower back, and you try to push the back of your butt and the tips of your fingers as far away from each other as possible, just to get a good, as much room in your back as possible, just to get as much of a stretch as possible. And then you're gonna come up to all fours, and you're going to really overemphasize rolling your shoulders outwards. You really want to retract your scapula, create as much space between your shoulder and your neck as possible, and then you're going to make sure again that your pelvis is neutral, that you're not letting your butt stick way out in the air, you're not creating this dip in your lower back. You want your back to be straight, and then what you're going to do is breathe out through your mouth as if you're breathing out through a balloon, like I said before, and you want to tuck your pelvis as much as you can, flexing through your abs, breathing out as much as physically possible. You want to be completely, not a single bit of air left in your lungs when you're done breathing out. You want to breathe out as hard as you can, as much as you can, and you want your hips to roll forward, getting a nice deep contraction in your abs, and then you're going to breathe in through your nose, not your mouth, and then you're going to level your back out to pelvic neutral, straight back, and then you're going to do that again. You're going to do that about 5-10 times for a couple of sets, and then the last one I move into is a diaphragmatic breathing exercise out to the side, which is really going to help with this is typically whichever side your back is hurting. Let's say you have lower right back pain, do this to the right side. If you have lower left back pain, do it to the left side. If you have back pain on both sides and you just have it in the middle, do it to both sides. So what you're gonna do is get into that all four position again. You want to have your shoulders rolled outwards. You really want to focus on rolling your elbows outward as much as possible to get your scapula, your shoulders to tuck back in. And then you want to make sure your pelvis is at neutral, pelvic neutral positioning, back straight. And then what you're gonna do is pick one arm off the ground. You're gonna point your elbow directly at the ground with your hand on the side of your head. And then from there, you're really gonna focus on opening up your elbow and your shoulders to get as much of a stretch in your lower lat as possible. So you're gonna breathe out as much as you can. Same thing, act like you're blowing into a balloon. Breathe out as much as possible. Out to the side, trying to get your elbow and your shoulder to open up as much as possible, getting a deep stretch. You should feel a deep stretch in your lower lat, and then you're gonna go as much as you can, and then breathe in through your nose, back to shoulder levels to the ground. And then you're gonna do that again. You're gonna do that for 5 to 10 reps for 3 to 4 sets, whatever you're feeling is comfortable, or however much time you have, I guess. I would recommend probably 5 to 10 reps, 3 to 4 sets, that'd be best. But this is just the routine that I go through every single day whenever I'm going to the gym to lift, because I have chronic back pain from a couple of different injuries, a serious anterior tilt in my pelvis, and I always have to do these just to make sure that I'm not creating any more back pain for myself, I'm not creating any more injuries, and it really just helps my body stay in tip-top shape because I'm not injuring myself anymore. And this just helps me pre-workout to get loosened up and ready to load up on weight. So, and again, you guys don't have to do this before a workout. You can just do this whenever, but try this out. Let me know how you like it. And then if you guys want more tips, I actually have a free fitness quiz where you just answer a couple of questions that we ask you, and depending on what you answer, it spits out a video at the end with a couple of tips for your body type, for what you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to lose a bunch of weight, if you're trying to build a bunch of muscle, if you're just trying to get that last little bit of body fat off of your body, it's gonna spit out a video with tips for you. So if you wanna check that out, you can click it in the link in the description below. Other than that, if you guys like this video, if it helped you at all, if you like these exercises, make sure you're clicking that thumbs up button below this video. And then if you have any questions or comments or concerns or videos that you want me to make, leave them in the comment section below. Other than that, make sure you guys are clicking the subscribe button. I'm releasing 3 videos every single week, and that way you don't miss out on the next video. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.